Right. So, Stars on Mars, Episode 7. Now, this has got to be the silliest episode of the show so far. So, it starts off with them showing how everyone's bonding. Well, almost everyone. Andy's asking Ariel for pointers, because he got named Base Commander. And it was, I love how they went about it. Okay, who doesn't want to go outside? Whose body has had enough? And so people asked Lance, and it's like, dude, you've been going outside all this entire time. You know, your body must be hurting. And he's like, I'm fine. I want to go outside. And everybody's like, well, you have to become base commander eventually. And he said he didn't want to become base commander. Now, remember, this happens every 2 days. So, I'm sorry. Either last week he was being petty and wanted to become base commander just so Ariel wouldn't be, or somebody nominated him and he just, decided not to contradict them. Marshawn wanted Lance, and so Lance just didn't want to cause extra drama by not only going against Ariel and having a fit against Ariel, but also against Marshawn. But, what? Anyway, so it's decided that Andy should become base commander. And I'm not entirely sure what this was based on. Like, maybe they thought he wasn't fit enough to do the missions. I mean, Andy was perfectly fine about becoming base commander. That was before he understood all that it entails. But he was super excited that they nominated him. And he seems to be well liked. So far, so good. And like I said, they're all getting along. Tinashe did pushed up into a back bend, and the male jocks were just looking at her like, oh, to be young again. Because she so easily did that. And yeah, so Paul tries. Now, this man is in his mid-40s, and he's 6'7". So to get as far as he did, Tinashe was not patronizing him by saying, dang. No, that was impressive. He didn't do a full back bend, but he got very far. So, yeah, kudos to him that he is showing he is a true athlete. So they're all getting along, and then Andy is looking for, Ariel is telling him, okay, put down everyone's skills so you know who to assign to what tasks, which makes perfect sense. And obviously Lance trying to poison the newcomers against Ariel has definitely failed, because nobody seems to be having a problem with Ariel. Even Paul doesn't seem to be bitching about Ariel this week. Neither did Lance, but so then comes Andy having to assign tasks. And this task was to retrieve items, a package that had fallen out when they crash landed. And So Andy decided to send Paul and Kat. So they're going, and I was starting to worry about Paul because he was saying about his back hurt, his feet hurt, his shoulders hurt, and I'm just like, oh dear. This is not good. Maybe that attempt at a backbend was not the best plan, because everything he was complaining about, except for possibly his feet, could have been he could have hurt himself doing that backbend. So yeah, probably trying to show off to Tinashe, probably not the best plan looking back on it. Still cool, but it seems like he hurt himself. So they go off and they find the package. Well, Paul finds the package. Now, Kat went 60 feet. Now, may I just say, her 60 feet is not the same as, say, Paul's. That's probably 30 feet for him, if that. I mean, so to count 60 steps, what? I know that that's what initially was why it was called a foot, but I don't know. I mean, is her 60 feet the standard foot? I don't know. So Paul finds the package, brings it up, and it turns out it's Kat's manicure and pedicure set. So she is super thrilled that she has that. And she promised that she will give Paul a pedicure when they get back. And he's like, I want one now. Paul, you are supposed to be on Mars. Do you know what would happen if she took off your shoe while on Mars? It would not matter that your head is in a helmet. Oxygen is getting out because, air. It's being let out by your foot. So yeah, they go back, and while they're making it back, the AI has a virus downloaded. And her acting is about as good as Shatner's. So at least Shatner is leaning into his legacy of his bad acting as Kirk. So in that vein, so is the AI. And periodically she actually does say nice things, as in she's telling people what to do, but still not perfectly well. So they're trying to figure out what to do. Shatner tells them that the virus has overtaken the AI. Don't trust the AI, and the base commander has what you need. Unfortunately, it was just a touch too late, because already the AI told the base commander and the mission specialist, in this case Adam and Andy, to go into the airlock. And then she promptly locks them out. She locks them into the airlock. So we have Paul and Kat stuck outside. We have Andy and Adam stuck in the airlock. And in an hour, she will open the outer door and kill Andy and Adam. Because, well, Martian atmosphere. So the task is to... Now, this was basically game night in the hab. It really was. So, first, now any one of these groups who fixed it first, who finished their task first, would save Andy and Adam. It's just a matter of who. Which, this was a unique challenge. Some people would ask what any of this has to do with resetting the AI. But, you know, it's unique, and they were playing into strengths, or perceived strengths. So first, they assign the jocks that are still in the hab to be the bike group. And Marshawn, so they have to bike 20 miles. And Marshawn suggested that neither he nor Rhonda, they just sit around, twiddle their thumbs, and let Lance go all 20 miles, which, let's face it, he could do. I mean, he could totally do that. So, but it was decided that he'll bike 2 miles, Rhonda will bike a mile, and Marshawn will bike a mile. And by the end of this, Rhonda was winded. And Marshawn seemed, you could hear a slight tiring on Marshawn, but in the case of Lance, well, he's perfectly fine. Which, not only is he not doing the entire 20 miles, but he's getting a couple of miles off. So that doesn't surprise me, and actually, that pisses me off so much more about Lance, that he doped and got caught and lost everything for it. And it seems like he didn't need to do that. He could have just, not doped, and maybe he might not have been as successful, as dominant, but it's entirely possible he would still be dominant. So that pisses me off about what he did even more. Because yes, I was a fan of his when he was cycling. But anyway, so those three are supposed to do the bikes. Then the three girls, well, minus Rhonda, Portia, Tinashe, and Ariel, are basically playing Name That Tune. So it was a combination of Name That Tune and Simon Says, as Andy pointed out. Yes, I do remember that electronic game, Andy, because we're about the same age. But anyway, so while they're doing that, Paul and Kat have to open these boxes, which sounds like it would be the most, I don't know that it would have been the most reasonable task to reset the AI. Now, if they had made, the Name That Tune group and the, as they put it, Tour de Mars group, if they made that to be some sort of distraction for the AI while those two were working outside, that would make sense. But that's not how the mission worked. It's basically whomever finishes their mission first will save Andy and Adam. So, and of course it's going to be the bike group, because, even if Lance did it by himself, 20 miles in an hour, yeah, okay. So, he probably would have done it. I mean, no shade meant to be thrown on Marshawn or Rhonda, but Lance might have been able to have gotten that done faster. If nothing else, because there was that brief interlude when they are switching over. So if they all three had their own bikes, then that would be different. But that's not how it worked. So anyway, so they're all working, and Paul is complaining about the length of the screws, and they decide that it would go faster if they had another screwdriver. And I'm just screaming at the TV, your manicure set. Manicure sets should have something, not a little screwdriver, but something you could use as a screwdriver. So I'm screaming that. Now, she did find something, so I'm assuming she did go into her manicure set. So they're working, and poor Kat falls over. And then she has a hard time getting up. I mean, come on. According to her suit is 100 pounds. Does she weigh 100 pounds? So, she's carrying the weight of probably, if not half, more than half her weight. So, more than twice her weight, I should say. But they were working. They got the least far. First came the bike group, then came the Name That Tune group, which, because they could communicate, I was really waiting for Adam, who's really, really good at Name That Tune. If you've ever seen him naming a Britney Spears song in one note, he's really good at that. And then they're supposed to guess the tune. And they didn't figure it out, and then they started playing it, and Ariel's like, I think we got rickrolled. You think? You think you got rickrolled? So, then it comes time to, okay, now we have to decide who's in the bottom three. Now, this was unique in that everybody got to go inside, and just the three people who were in the bottom three had to go into the airlock. And so Adam and Andy were discussing amongst themselves who to pick. Now, I really thought that at some point, that it would just be like, oh, this person's mission critical, that person's mission critical. And that that everybody would go into the airlock and, people would walk in. So, because previously, everybody who got saved had a say in who else got picked, and eventually who would go from the final three. So Adam and Andy, well, Andy wanted to say Paul and Kat because they had the hardest task. Adam rightfully pointed out that, well, first off, he didn't want to put Tinashe and Portia in the bottom three. But at the same time, he had a point that Kat and Paul didn't get as far along in their task as the others. I don't know, maybe split the difference. We already put Rhonda in the bottom three simply because she was again crying that she misses her baby. Now, I'm not going to mock her for missing her baby, but long before any of these people came, these new people, she was crying about that. And then she seemed fine, and now she's doing it again. So, first off, why couldn't she have done this 2 days ago when Ashley was given the boot? Because they were already questioning that she didn't do as well in that task. So, why not, decide to leave a couple of days earlier? Even though who knows how long Ashley would want to stay because she has a 17-month-old. So, but since you already are putting Rhonda, pick one of the girls, whether it be Portia, Tinashe, Ariel. From what little they showed, it seemed like Tinashe and Portia were doing a better job than Ariel was on this game, but I could be wrong. Like I said, maybe it's just the editing. So, put Rhonda, put Ariel, and put either Paul or Kat, whichever one. Maybe, pick one. Considering how pissed off Kat was, put Paul back into the bottom three, because he doesn't seem to be royally pissed off at Andy. Is he disappointed? Yes. Is he royally pissed off? No. So, that might have saved Andy this feud that he's now going to have with Kat, because he put her in the bottom three. So then nobody can say, oh, we're playing favorites, that this group, that group, whatever. But then again, they were the least far along, so that does make sense. So it could have gone either way. So then it's decided that Rhonda she thinks she's mission critical, but she wants to go home. Even though as she's going home, she's like, part of me misses the group. I hope I made the right decision. I was trying to look up if there was an article about Ronda Rousey, whether she felt like she made the right decision. Whether she regrets not staying. So I didn't find anything. But what saved Paul and Kat was Rhonda wanting to leave. And that is the only reason why she was put in the bottom three to begin with. Because Andy initially didn't want to, because, her group won. But, they wanted to give her the opportunity whether she wanted to leave. And she chose to leave. And I don't know. Maybe if there was somebody involved in the bottom three who was more deserving of leaving, maybe Rhonda would have stuck it out. But she probably didn't see a reason to give the boot to either one of those two. So that also might have played a role in her decision. That she sort of wants to leave, but also, she doesn't want Paul or Kat to get the boot. So, then we see scenes from next week. And I actually looked it up. Solar flares. So there's solar flares, and they seem to have to go out and deal with it. And they seem to be literally blind. I don't know how they managed to do that on their helmets, but they made them blind. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I can guarantee you Adam is safe. He is in the bottom three, and you do hear him saying that how he talked himself out of being given the boot before. Let's see if I can do it again. Yeah. Just by that little snippet, I'm going to say that Adam is safe. I don't think they showed who else is in the bottom three, just Adam. But I don't think he's the one going home. So, with that, I believe I covered this episode, and I will see you guys next time.